This video is brought to you by Patreon supporter Scott.
So, just when you thought you saw it all, you get broadsided by an 18-wheeler that came out of nowhere on the highway. That's exactly what Scott did to me today. He dropped off a Kahles K18i. Yes, because the Kahles K16i wasn't to his satisfactory, he went out and bought this Kahles K18i, which, if you don't know, is the 1:8 version of the Kahles K16i. And whereas the other one was $2,000, hold on, I'll get it out. This is $2,500. Oh yes, this is now the most expensive optic I have gotten my hands on. He just had to outdo himself one more time because he is a psychopath. I swear, he's mentally unstable in all the right ways. Kind of like that dog that, you know, they'll cuddle up with you and be your best friend and keep you nice and warm, and, you know, you have great times with, and then all of a sudden just goes batshit crazy and starts shitting on the floor and just running around the house like he's hopped up on cocaine. That's Scott. Love you, Scott. Really, really, really do. And I'm super, super appreciative that you'd be so awesome of a Patreon and a friend to even consider sending this up to me for review. Well, with that out of the way, let's crack this box open and see what we have. So, right off the bat, I'll tell you, I wasn't super impressed with the K16's box, and I'll tell you right now, I am super unimpressed with this K18 box. You get this really thin cardboard that feels like you'd find it on a $200 optic. In fact, there are some $200 optics that I've reviewed that have nicer boxes than this, and it's just, right off the bat, it's like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you spend a couple of dollars more, Kahles, and just build a better box? I mean, look at this thing. I can't even open the lid without it starting to give me problems. There it is. Let's see what we have as far as accessories go. Another throw lever. Okay. Ooh, look at this. Branded scope cover. Nice, really nice. That's it? Okay. Well, just put that right back there. This is your warranty certificate, because guess what? If this thing decides it wants to fail at any given time, you're going to be SOL, I reckon. And here is the little owner's manual. I mean, look at this thing. It's made out of really fairly cheap feeling paper. I mean, Vortex does it better. Steiner does it better. Most of the other manufacturers do it better, but yet, Kahles, you want to give me a price tag that is astronomical, and then you give us a little pamphlet like this that you can barely read. Okay, whatever. That's about it. Let's crack this thing out of here and see what we have. Fairly lightweight right off the bat, which is excellent. You'd expect nothing less from a scope that costs as much as some cars that I've purchased in the past. Made in Austria, that is why this thing is as expensive as it is. I bet if this was made overseas in Southeast Asia, for example, this would probably cost half to maybe less. Now, before I even get through anything else with this, I was not super excited about the K16. Will I be excited about this? That is a question that's pondering through my head. This thing better be absolutely quintessentially perfect in every single detail, both externally, internally, and just really just strike a pose with everything that it does. With that, let's start at the back with the fast focus eyepiece. There is an arrow that I guess would line up with that, but guess what? It does not line up with that. I'm sure we could tweak this rubber if we wanted to, but coming from the factory like so, slightly disappointed. Anyway, it is absolutely butter smooth, and not like hard cold butter. I'm talking like nice room temperature butter. You take the knife and go, you get a perfect dollop. Anyway, this feels excellent, as it absolutely should. No real, no, there's a little bit of wiggle in there, just a touch, which frightens me because this thing gets hit, it gets tapped, it gets shifted out. the more movement there is right now in a static position, when you go ahead and hit this, that just means that you're going to allow movement for binding or twisting or breaking. And there is a little bit to it. I do not want to wrench on this too much, but just know that it is there. But other than that, it feels excellent. Damping on it's very good. You don't have to worry about this thing tripping itself up and taking itself out of alignment, even though you might be putting it in a bag or whatnot. So right off the bat, feels pretty good, but there is that little bit of wiggle. Whatever. So throw lever comes included. In fact, this one has two for whatever reason, which is nice. The other one did have what seemed to be a little bit longer of a throw lever on it. So I guess if you want to make your personalization adjustments to it, you can. But I think for me, this is a perfect size because you don't want it too big, because then you have to worry about it again hitting into things. This being a 1 to 8, we have 1 at the 12 o'clock position and 8 at the 6 o'clock position. So 180 degrees, which is basically perfectly standard for every LPVO and magnified optic that I have reviewed. 1 to 8. That is incredibly smooth, perfectly damped. Perfect amount of resistance there. You don't need the throw lever to turn it, but throw lever is going to make it so much easier to go from minimum to maximum or anywhere in between. Excellent so far. And unlike the K16, this thing at least does line up properly with the numbers on the magnification ring itself. So at least for $2,500, you're getting that. Let's move on over to the Illumination knob, which is where the K16 really just sort of spit in my face. Let's see how this thing looks. So we got 0, and right off the bat, you can feel there's, well, I can feel, you can hear there's no detents on any of the numbers going from 0 up. So I don't know why they wouldn't just put a ramp there or hash mark. I know the number's fine. It hard stops there, and then it continues up. So I wonder if these are going to be more of your nighttime brightnesses or lesser than brightnesses, and then it's going to be super daytime bright, considering there's a picture of the sun there. We'll take a look at that very soon. But what I'm curious to see is what it looks like under this cover. Good amount of resistance in there, but big O-ring. Oh no. About, okay, so the battery's not full. Oh, no. There we go. Up. Oh, there we go. Great job. Excellent. Awesome, in fact. The exact same mechanism inside the K18 as we saw inside the K16, with the exception of, I believe the K16 was blue on the inside. This one's black. Yeah, you get this one lead and one little lead. So if this thing gets tweaked or twisted or damaged in any way and breaks off, you're completely SOL. And I'm sure at that point the warranty will be expired on this thing, and then you're going to have to spend God knows how much getting this thing repaired. It's like buying a BMW versus a Honda. You're going to pay a premium for premium scope to get repaired. Just about a turn and a third, I would say. I'm sure it's adequate, even though with the K16 I had that problem. We'll see if we have that problem with this, even though this battery feels like it's in there a little bit more tight than it was with the K16. But this leaves a lot for me to be desired, especially when a Vortex or primary arms that's $200 has a better mount for your battery. I'm not even going to segue into anything. I'm just going to start taking caps off. Yep, we have the exact same turrets as we saw with the K16, which honestly are not that impressive. Do you really want to make adjustments with a knob that doesn't have any sort of numbers on it, with the exception of 1, 0? Wouldn't it just be really nice to be like, okay, I want to go from there to there. Okay, that's 1. Okay, that's 2. Because if you're over here and you're making adjustments, where am I? I don't know. Who'd have thunk that it might be smart to put numbers up there? What do we got here? We have 1 click is 1 centimeter at 100 meters. So of course we are in a full mil setup. Ooh, at least this feels a little bit tighter and more taut than the K16 did. Starting at 0. Good detent, good tension, good sound. The K16 was used, but this feels really nice. As you can see from there, A little bit of wiggle, but you know what? Again, this being an LPVO, I don't mind that. It's perfectly adequate. I just wish that there were, numbers illustrated here so this way you could see it a little bit better. But elevation, and let's check out the windage. Perfectly adequate as far as how they feel, how they sound. You can see a little bit of wiggle there, I reckon. That's fine. But why don't you put numbers on the rest of the turret? Why? Why? Why, Kahles? Why? Big O-ring on the bottom for weather sealing. Nothing special on the inside of the cap. Let me not scratch anything, because that would be embarrassing. So, turrets are adequate. Illumination knob, I don't mind that there's no detents on this. Just like I said with the K16. As long as it works, though, we'll see. All right, screw it. Let's get behind this thing and see what it looks like. So, for those of you that aren't Kahles savants, this is a 3GR reticle. And I have to say, right off the bat, I like it. I like it for the simple fact that it is exactly that. It is simple. You have this nice big dot in the middle, which might almost be a little bit too big for some finite target engagements, but at least you can see the damn thing. Illumination on this thing is actually kind of interesting. It is the center dot, and then it is the dot just below it. It is daytime bright, so I wish it was a little bit brighter. I do like the drops. I like the Christmas tree. That is literally perfect. Honestly, the drops on this thing look absolutely fantastic. And I like how you have different wind holdovers for different distances, and all the hash marks in between it are where they should be, because the farther out you go, the more you have to compensate for wind. So far, so good. But that's with the reticle. As far as how this looks optically, I don't know. The 1X looks pretty good. It's big, it's bright, it's open. Excellent. That's what you want. Let's zoom all the way into 8X, and I don't know, is it me or it just doesn't look as sharp as I was hoping it would? With the K16 at 6X, it was really good. Optically, it was excellent. I don't know, but 8X on this looks slightly blurry and slightly out of focus. Is it me? Anyway, that's all we're going to touch base on right now. But this is a lot of money. This is, again, $2,500 or so. And this thing better perform absolutely flawlessly. But as we just saw, 8X suffering like the Strike Eagle 1-8 did, this isn't leaving me with a lot of confidence so far right off the bat. But I'm going to review this with my opinion off to the side. I want to see this for exactly what it is and nothing more or nothing less. A huge thank you to Patreon provider Scott for sending this in for review. It's the most expensive scope I've ever reviewed. So huge honor and thanks for that. And thank you all very much for watching. Hope to see you again next time.
And a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you, this wouldn't be possible.